Morning, welcome back to the channel. Today we are working on a 1998 Dodge Caravan. And I was initially called out for a basic tune-up and oil change. I got here, battery was dead, so I jumped her off. I wanted to do a diag on it before I got started on everything. In the process of doing that, jumped her off, discovered that we had a bad alternator. As you can see there, belt's all mangled up. So we're going to replace the serpentine belt on it, get a new alternator on it, new valve cover gaskets, front and rear, spark plug wires, and we're going to knock out a oil change on it. That being said, this is not a how-to video. I just wanted to show you guys what I'll be working on today. I'll bring you in and out, show you some of the process. There's a few different ways of doing this, doing valve covers on it and spark plugs, alternator and all that stuff. I'm just going to do a complete tear down of the top, remove the intake manifold and all that. You'll remove this, it has 2 tins on it, and that's not even an original bolt, and that's not all the way connected. So I'll get all that cleaned up and put back properly as I go back in with everything. But yeah, we're going to replace everything. You can remove the windshield wiper cowl and remove the wipers and the motor and all that stuff, and you can get to the spark plugs and everything like that without removing the intake. It's a little difficult, but if you think about it, it's about the same time to do either or. But with me doing everything that I'll be doing today, I'm just going to go ahead and remove everything from inside. That way I have plenty of room, plenty of access to replace everything that I need to replace. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started with my tear down, and then I'll bring you guys back, show you a little bit of the inside, show you what it looks like with the valve covers and everything off. Some technicians will remove this fuel rail completely. Me personally, I just loosen them up, leave a couple threads in there so I can pull up on it and pull it out the way without having to completely remove it. That gives me room to slide the valve cover in and out, along with the gasket and all that stuff. So you don't have to completely remove it unless you absolutely necessarily want to. Me personally, especially dealing with these older vehicles, I try to remove as little as possible to avoid breaking anything or anything like that, losing bolts, dropping stuff. Anything can happen, especially on these older vehicles. You don't want anything to break when you mid repair. All right, so you got our intake out or off. Whew, I don't know where that came from, but it's sitting there, and we're going to try to get that little itty bitty screw out. All right, there's intake gasket there. As you can see, it broke over right around there. There's the other piece of it here. Yeah, she broke and it's still breaking. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull that off real quick before she breaks any more, because I don't want none of that going down into the intake. So, all right, she's starting to break on me, so try to be gentle as possible, pick her straight up, and come off with her. All right, that should be good for now. We'll clean all that up before reinstall. We are doing alternator on it, along with the belt, and then we'll get started on removing the rear valve cover. Go ahead and knock out everything in the rear, and then put the alternator back, new gasket, and then I'll put the manifold and all that stuff back together before I knock out the front, just to prevent having it open longer than necessary. Clean up as best as I can, and then start putting everything back together. Like I said, I'm going to start in the rear, get everything that I need to get it back here done, and then start reassembly, knock out all of that stuff that's in the rear, everything that's hard to access, get all that stuff put back together, and then we'll finish up with the front valve cover, and then I got to do an oil change on it. So I'll do oil change last, then she's all finished up, we'll get her started. All right, we're about 2-3 hours in. The valve covers are done, spark plugs in the rear are done. I still got front spark plugs to do and front wires to do, and it's got a new intake manifold gasket on it. Alternator is out, alternator is there. That's old alternator, new alternator's in the van. She's going to need coolant, so we'll top that off when we're done. And I'm going to get rid of that, patch that back up so it's not in my way. And one of the lines broke, this one here that goes over to here, right there. So I should have enough hose. I still have the connectors for it. It just broke, it snapped in the middle, so I should have enough hose to run from there to the other side. If not, I'll run to the house, grab some hose. I got plenty of hose at home. Outside of that, we are almost finished. All we got left is to install the new alternator, new belt, knock out the spark plugs and wires in the front, and knock out the oil change. And then she'll be all done, ready to start. We'll start her up, and then we'll knock out a diagnostic on it, make sure there's nothing else safety issue-wise going on, and get her back drivable. Like I said, this is a handicap accessible van. It does have a wheelchair ramp installed. So we just want to make sure everything is good. We hate to have one of my handicapped customers stuck on the side of the road somewhere, especially after I put my hands on it. Make me feel bad. I'm going to go ahead and get finished up. This new alternator installed, belt installed, and then knock out this front spark plugs and wires. Looks like we got a bolt loose there, right there. I don't know who loosened that up or who's been in here last, That bolt was loose. There was a couple valve cover bolts that were loose. This fuel rail bolt here, right in front of me, is 4 of them, 2 on the back rail, 2 on the front rail. The other 3 were decent. This one didn't really want to come out easily. I didn't pull any of them all the way out. This one was the only one that gave me some resistance. So yeah, outside of that, she looks pretty decent. We still got our wiper shroud, wiper motor, and wiper arms to reinstall. But all right, I'm gonna go back, get started, finishing her up, and I'll check back in with you guys shortly. All right, mission complete. Everything is done. I did have her running, but the battery is done for. She's not holding the charge anymore, and she won't even jump off anymore now. But the alternator is working. She is trying to charge the battery, but it's not holding any of that charge. Valve covers are done. I did front valve cover, spark plugs, wires, rear valve cover, spark plug, and wires. We also replaced the engine air filter in it, which is down here in this box here. You got to remove all of this. It sits right down in there. We are going to replace the battery in the next couple of days. We replaced the intake manifold gasket, and we have a new serpentine belt on here. So we also did an oil change on it. So new transmission fluid probably could use a service. I don't service transmissions, so I am going to recommend them to a local repair shop over here that does transmissions. All right, we are back. This is the Grand Caravan that we did some work on the other day. We got the battery installed yesterday. My customer took it for a test drive and noticed that when it's in gear, that it has a nasty backfire. Or when it's in gear, it has a backfire, and with the AC on, it's causing it to backfire. Usually, from my experience on these models, it's usually the idle air control valve. I'm unable to read the engine or pull any codes from it. I can't pull up it won't read. It's just not giving me anything from the diagnostic. It just keeps telling me it won't communicate. So I'm unable to read my graphs or anything like that. But yeah, so with the AC off, she's idling kind of high. The exhaust is kind of loud because they don't have cats on it. It's been straight piped already. But yeah, so the idle is kind of high. And then when I turn the AC on, you see the idle jump, and then you get that nasty backfire. So it's backfiring now in park. And then when I shut it off, it does that again, then it settles out about there, and no more backfiring. I can give it gas and all that, no backfiring or anything like that while it's in park with the AC off. Now with AC off in gear, she backfires, but it's not as bad as with the AC on. And in drive, it backfires, but like I said, it's not as bad as with AC on. So with AC on and in gear, it does that. So, and I'm pretty sure there's something going on with the electrical system between the brake switch and somewhere in the back. It has the door ajar light on there. You hit the brake pedal, it goes away. You let off the brake pedal, it comes back. It's not on because this door is on. So it's always on. And like I said, when you hit the brake, it goes off. When you let off the brake, it comes back. Now, I do have a slight, you can hear like a tick or something coming from the back end. Maybe one of the doors or something from back there. So I'm thinking it's an issue somewhere on the passenger or that back latch door. But we're not worried about that yet. We got to at least get her running before we start getting into that. But yeah, like I said, so now she's idling fine, give it gas, and she's fine. As soon as I turn the AC on, she drops down there and misfires real bad. So with me not able to do a full diagnostic on it and pull up the graphs and read all my codes and everything, I checked for vacuum leaks of what I could check up front. I wasn't able to find any vacuum leaks, so I don't think that might be an issue. Outside of that, like I said, the only thing I could think that would possibly be the issue would be the idle air control valve. But me personally, I want to go ahead and replace throttle body. I want to replace EGR valve, which is back there, both up to the manifold. And so I want to replace that and the idle air control valve, get all of that installed. I'm really not thinking that it's the distributor, because I would assume if I had a bad distributor that my service engine light would probably be flashing, and I don't think it would have a decent idle in park, and it wouldn't. I don't think the AC would determine if it was backfiring or not. I think it would just backfire and misfire the entire time if the distributor was bad. So we'll hold off on replacing the distributor. Like I said, I highly doubt that would be the issue. I'm leaning more towards the idle air control valve, about 90% there. Outside of that, like the valve covers, spark plugs, and all that stuff that we've already replaced, alternator, and all that checked out good. Nothing's leaking, nothing's disconnected, all of that. So all of that's fine. So I'm going to get with the customer, let her know my recommendations, and then we'll go from there. Hopefully we can get the idle issue down, get backfiring taken care of. She's running, we just got to get her back on the road safely. So Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video.